right now. This is not an option, everybody. Right at the gate. Dairy is a source of calcium. Get rid of any and all dairy. We've been sold these lies. Right now, this is not an option. Right now, and you need it for vitamin D. You're never going to consume dairy again. What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. It's very late, or I should say early. Well, it's only 1:30 a.m. That's still early. Late. And we say late, absolutely. I'll correct myself on that because I've shared with you that as Muslims, we understand that by the instruction of the divine and by the decree of the divine, the one who creates, the new day is not recognized until the rising of the sun in the east. So this, oh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning nonsense is another construct of white supremacy, white people trying to rule time and space and all of that. You know, this is why you have daylight savings. You can't turn back or turn forward time. So I invite you to get rid of this notion that midnight, after midnight becomes a new day. You know, it doesn't matter how much. I always hear a lie doesn't become a truth. So it doesn't matter that, you know, if you look at your device and all that thing, it will, if after midnight it will log, if it's Monday, it'll now say Tuesday, you know, or whatever. Or if it's the end of the month and the next day is the first, after midnight it suddenly becomes the first. Nah, for the Muslim, it's not a new day until the sun rises in the east. Now it is a new day. Until that, it is just the night hour of the day that you begin with the rising of the sun. You see? So just because the sun goes down in the west, you know, why don't we start a new day after that? Why don't we say, you know, if it's in the summertime and the sun goes down later, why don't we say, oh, the sun's down now, it's a new day? Why midnight marks the new day? Nah. So it is late. Alright? But I don't care about the time right now because after the last live stream, which something hocus pocus is going on with that, because this is now many hours after the live stream and it's still saying processing. The only way you know that the video is even exists is if you either got a notification, which makes sure your bells are turned on, and or you actually go to my channel and you look at recent activity. If you just go into videos, it doesn't show up at all. I'll show you on this raggedy phone. They are the devil. Do you understand me? Everybody needs to be clear about that, especially if you've been around me for any significant amount of time. You know. So here's my channel, and you see that it shows when you go to my channel, and it shows uploads. It shows my live stream before, when I was in bed, not the one that I did earlier today. All right. So when you scroll down to new or to recent activity, then there's the new stream. You see? So this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. And so anyway, whatever. which is also another reason why I decided to record this video and not do it live, because I wanted to give that one time to process, which it doesn't take this long for it to process. You know, the longest it may take is, it's always less than a half hour even, just to help you to really understand how egregious this is. So I don't want to stack this on top of that. And then also, if I went live right now at this late of an hour, I really don't want to really do so much of a live stream. You know, it's fine if people want to watch live, but this is the best way for me to do this. All right, then I can just release it later tonight or tomorrow, you know. But why this is also important and worthy of my sacrifice of my time at this hour is because of Monica Bell. Shout out to you, Monica, again, who was a part of the last live stream, this live stream earlier tonight. And she has a whole host of medical issues. She's had multiple strokes and heart attacks. She has diabetes, and I felt like there was something else. And I was just deeply affected after communicating with you on the stream. And then Allah gave me this that I came to bring now. Because in the live stream I was telling Monica, you know, I was giving her suggestions and things that that I felt would help her. I was telling her, you got to change your diet right now. You got to stop eating pork. If you eat pork, you got to stop that. You got to stop eating anything white. You know, I'll allow white rice and white flour just, you know, but if it's white, it's not from Allah, don't eat it. And on I went. But this is everything, everybody. We need to understand that when we talk about white supremacy and systemic racism, it's in every single thing that white hands touch. I'm going to say that again. White supremacy and systemic racism is in everything that white hands touch in this nation, indeed across the earth, but specifically we're talking about in this nation, because it's where we at. But this is, I'm always speaking when I speak to all Africans across the diaspora. It doesn't matter where you are. The fact that you and I are related and that we're all Africans, we are the same to these people, and therefore we're the same target. So let us not parse out tribes and regions and geographics. Forget that. They see us as one, and I have contended since before you even knew me that I do and prescribe for you that we see them as one. They're the ones selling this fictional idea that you're supposed to see each of them as just some sort of individual. They've never done that to us. Never. Never. I saw an episode of Judge Judy sometime back, I think it was. This white lady had been bit by a pit bull, but it was her description. Which she said, you know, and next thing I knew, the biggest animal I ever saw in my life came over a 6-foot wall and was charging at me. And she said, I just turned around, and because there was no way I was going to outrun this guy. Why are you referring to a dog as a guy? But you had to hear her say it and see her say it, because it struck me so clearly. This is what they see when they see us, especially an African male of any size, quite frankly, but certainly if we're larger, You know, they see an animal. You know, this is a beast we're dealing with, everybody. And if you don't know it, you need to trust those of us that do. But to digress, so that systemic racism and white supremacy is deliberately implicated and intended in everything that they conjure and plan and decide and execute and all of it. It's always a part of their agenda. Even this last this corona stimulus check, you know, there's no question in my mind that among the discussions that went on and that ultimately determined the final outcome of this stimulus, how much it was going to be, who would get it, how fast it would go out, and all that stuff, was definitely predicated on the presence of us. How do we keep the niggers from getting anything? Or how can we give them the bare minimum? And it's also why I suggest that they are now so in a hurry to open stuff up. Some of them can't even hide their white evil. They've specifically naming businesses that we know are particularly patronized by African people. Money is their god. That's what they worship. And the thing they fear the most on the earth is, and are focused on the most, are African people. Period. Everything else is after those things. Everything. You don't need to believe it. It's still going to be true whether you believe it or not, or whether you know it or not. This is going to be the truth. It is and it will be. You understand? So that if this were a all-white nation, I have no doubt that there already would have been a universal basic income in place a long time ago. Proving my point is how quickly and easily and how readily accepted the GI Bill was back before any of us was born. The Social Security, the New Deal, Social Security, Medicaid, the veterans benefits, all the social programs, including welfare. To this day, most people collecting welfare in this nation are white people. Yet every time you turn around, they want to give you the image of some black welfare queen. Nah, it's the white bitch. It just is. That's your welfare queen. It's not Lakeisha, it's Becky's white ass. That's the welfare queen, you see. And because they're hypocrites by nature, they will collect their welfare while criticizing Lakeisha. I told you I saw a white guy actually do a video saying that he and his wife didn't really want the stimulus money because when they totaled it up, they realized they were getting more than they would make on their job. So they just decided the only way they could feel good about it was to just take out what they would normally make and then give the rest to charity. Give me a damn break. I'm over it. And you notice we're not hearing anything about, well, there's just so much deficit spending. They're just adding to the deficit and the deficit and the deficit. They don't care when their white asses benefit. And as long as it's a white man dispensing it. Proof of this is this is a country that prints money out of thin air with nothing to back it up. You understand? But when a black man was wisely spending money to save their white asses, their economy, they bitched the entire time. Because they will find a reason to act like they complain about something a black man is doing. Really all it is white hatred. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. They don't let them give you policy and spending and family values and all this nonsense. It's just white fucking racism. That's what it is. We're going to call a thing a thing. And what I'm here to present now is more white racism, more white supremacy, more genocide upon African people, and deliberately. Again, going back to the understanding that money is their god. They worship it. Do you understand? So, this is highly important, my people. That's why I'm taking the time to do this. So, I think I'm going to end up calling this video Dairy equals coronavirus equals black people. Alright? I have offered you my own personal dissertations and hypotheses and feelings about this whole corona thing, where it comes from. I still maintain it's man-made and they created it, blah, 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 blah. But I've also, every time that I get something that adds to my point of view or a new way of seeing something, whatever, I share that. This is that again. But this is more significant than anything I've ever presented on this virus. And I want you to know that. Now, there is a link that I'm including that you will go and watch. And it is a African brother by the name of Milton Mills. He's a doctor. So I'm calling it Dairy equals coronavirus equals African people. Alright? Right at the gate, I want to tell you right now, you need to get rid of any and all dairy that's in your house right now. This is not an option, everybody. This is not an option. You will and need to get rid of any and all dairy that is in your house right now. And you're never going to consume dairy again. Because I'm going to connect some dots. I'm going to connect some dots for you. And then you're going to go and watch Dr. Mills. And then the whole puzzle will be able to be seen by you. Alright? Now, dairy, we've been sold these lies that dairy is a source of calcium. And you need it for vitamin D, and you need milk, and no, you don't. Proving this is the fact that cows, if you test their milk, their natural milk, before they've been touched by white evil, and pasteurization, and adding chemicals, and adding hormones, and all of it, a cow's milk is naturally high in calcium. And they don't drink milk. So where are they getting it? Oh my God, they're getting it from the leafy greens that they eat. Dang that truth. Urgh. Didn't see it coming. And we all know that a cow is going to weigh more than us on any damn day. Most of us. Alright. So, that's a lie. You also need to know that vitamin D being advertised on milk cartons and dairy. So when I say milk, everybody, I'm talking about dairy, the whole of dairy. Alright? So you may see me intertwine milk and dairy, and I'll say dairy and then I'll say milk, whatever. You need to know that I'm always talking about dairy overall, period. All of it has to go. Alright? So, they only do that to make it more marketable. I use that word. Because the truth is, milk / dairy, cheese, and all that has no nutritional value for you at all. Indeed, it's the exact opposite. And it's actually more detrimental to African people. All people of color, really, but specifically African people, as it always is, right? So now, I made some notes, something I don't ever do, but this I needed to, alright? Okay, is this the order? Yeah, okay. Now, the idea of using animals for their milk is approximately 6,000 years old, but it's scattered, alright? And in some parts of the world, it's been about 6,000 years, according to Dr. Mills. Um, but that only about 3,000 years in white countries. Now, I'm going to say something that Dr. Mills didn't say, and that is some of the dairy that would be used and is being used in other parts of the world where they're not really into it, so to speak. It's medicinal, really, or it's specific. In other words, like for instance, Bedouins, our African brothers crossing the desert and things like that, would drink the milk from their camels. You see, we know that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically spoke about the milk of a camel and various other things. But we also must keep in context that whether it's the camel or anything else, this would have been directly from the animal in its pure form, the way that Allah created it. You understand? Even the milk of a cow is specifically spoken about by the divine in the Quran. Just to loosely quote it, when Allah talks about how He has separated, I'm going to fail at this, how He has separated, He's showing you the miracle of how He is able to, how the cow is made and it's able to produce milk, for something to come out that is palatable for you. All right, I don't really need to go into that in order to make my point. My point is that when you are talking about milk, using animals for their milk in other parts of the world, and certainly in other times, thousands of years ago and all that kind of thing, they would have been drinking the real milk that Allah created. What we have now in the dairy is not what Allah created. I always tell you, what Allah creates is perfection. The very idea and concept of perfect is synonymous with the divine. It's one of the attributes of the divine, is perfecta. So that whatever Allah creates, the moment you touch it, you just ruined it. You just ruined it. It's not perfect now. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not. And this is another example of that. Once you touch it, you've ruined it. And when you think about the way that they pump these animals up now with all sorts of hormones and antibiotics and steroids and things like that, they are rushing along the birth cycle of a calf in the female cow with all sorts of mechanics and technology and chemicals, and by the time you get it, that's not what Allah created. It's just not. It's not. Now it is a poison to you. Alright? So that now, but also when we talk about calcium and vitamin D, I've always said to you, we are the people of the sun. We're the people of the sun. So, if we're in the sun for, a half hour to an hour, even a couple hours, whatever we want to do, our body will produce vitamin D. You understand? And calcium. Now, they are not inherently from climates that are sun-filled and warm. So, you talk about so therefore their system is not the same as ours. So even they would be served to go and buy calcium and vitamin D supplements, not to use dairy. All right, that would be their best bet. But we don't really care. We're only concerned about us. All right, just like they're only concerned about them, I'm only concerned about us. Period. So, you also need to know that no mammals need to drink the milk of another species. Our women produce milk. I've even told you in the past that the milk of a camel is the only milk besides the milk that a female woman produces. Outside of her milk, the only other milk on the earth that can sustain life is the milk from a camel. Period. Alright? But you also notice that not only should we not be drinking the milk of other species, and I would argue unless we're talking about other countries where there is no GMO, there isn't all these chemicals, and that's a real animal has been raised in accordance with the way that Allah created it, etc., etc. That's going to be a different thing. I also know this because my grandmother, Rahimullah, my grandmother, rest her soul, one of her friends, Miss Johnson, used to, she had a farm. And so sometimes I would hear her call up my grandmother, and Miss Johnson would send her daughter to bring my grandmother some fresh milk. I'd be like, Gran, we getting some fresh milk, you know. And we had to hurry and drink it because that milk didn't keep like this milk. You know, you go to the grocery store and buy milk, you can leave it in the refrigerator for a few days. This milk, you need to hurry and drink it. Otherwise, it's time to make buttermilk or ice cream or something else because you are going to run out of time very quickly. But, but let's just throw that out for a minute. We know that our women begin to, I guess is lactate, is what y'all call it, when you become pregnant and your breasts begin to fill with milk. So what does that say to you? Because you're not walking around with your breasts just full of milk before, like when you're not pregnant. This is something that's being specifically now designed by Allah to sustain that child once it comes here. Not formula, not a bottle, not anything but that breast milk that comes out that titty. That's what that child needs. Period. The end. Because that is what strengthens and begins to build the immune system of the child and causes it to ward off infection and disease and all that stuff. You don't need no damn vaccines. But they've pulled the baby away from the breast so that you can be empowered. I'm a working mom and all this nonsense. So they've snatched the baby away from the titty. Now the baby is vulnerable. Now we can come in with our vaccines, and now you got your autism and your all the other shit, the other list of shit that can't even name right now. You see what I'm saying? So there's a pathology of evil that's going on. But to come back, your breast filled with milk for a specified time, and then it dries up because it's time for the baby to be weaned off. Allah is perfect. 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 And so, like with every other mammal, we don't see grown-ass cats going up and nursing on another cat. We just haven't seen it. It's them kittens for a specific amount of time, and then that's it. They not nursing no more. It's time for they to take their little ass out and hunt for rats and whatever else they eat. I always tell you, creation is not for decoration, everybody. It's information. So Allah is showing you in creation what you're supposed to be doing. Why are we continuing to consume? And not only you're weaning, you're not breastfeeding and all that, but let's say you are. Now your breasts are dried up. That's a sign that you don't need no more milk. You're done. You're done with your dairy. You're done. But now we go and drink milk. At least before this video, because after this video, you're not touching any more dairy, butter, cheese, milk, none of it. You're over it. All right. Especially if you know what I'm gonna. Especially once you know all the things I'm gonna tell you in this piece, and you're gonna watch the supplement, the link, so you can go and see Dr. Milton Mills yourself. Now, I want to move through this. As I said, female mammals secrete milk to feed their babies. Uh, but as adults or grown mammals, you should not be consuming milk slash dairy. All right, and you definitely should not be drinking the milk of another species. Milk is not food. Also, most African people of color, because we're not going to deal with this people of color bullshit. We're talking about us. 75% of our people, I haven't got to the numbers yet, are lactose intolerant. In fact, most mammals are lactose intolerant. You see, because the milk that your mother or that the cat or the dog or any other mammal puts out, that is divine. So it's going to do, it's like the batteries. You know, if you look at something electronic, it says, you know, AA battery. That battery goes with that. You see, you got to get AA battery. So this is the AA battery for your ass, is the breast milk. That you need that. Not this other thing that they now want you to take once you become a mature human. All right? And I'm going to let the doctor tell you a lot of the technical stuff, all right, when you watch the link. All right? Humans are the only mammals that drink milk as adults or mature, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, even cats, I don't know how long they go, but it's not very long. Your dogs, everything else, you know, it's a set amount of time and they're done. I'm going to get to the crescendo, but I want to build it a little bit. I want to build it for you, all right? The only people who are lactose persistence are white people, all right? Because of where they're from and their culture of drinking other mammals, other species of mammals' milk, all right? So here's some of the numbers, all right? So 95% of Asians are lactose intolerant. 74% of African people are lactose intolerant. But you need to know the only reason why we're not at 100% is because of the white devils that raped our women during slavery. So you had it changed the doctor will explain this to you more clearly, but that directly affects to this day that crime, that heinous genocide, Holocaust. You can draw a direct line from. Okay, it cut me off because it's been trying to do some security update for some days now, and I'm not having it. It's very suspect. Anyway, you can draw a direct line from white devil-ass slave owners raping our women to the lactose intolerance of African people to this day. Or the lactose tolerance of some black people. Because like I say, otherwise we'd be 100% lactose intolerant. Alright? But the only reason why we're 75% is directly tied to the rape of African slave women. Alright? 70% of Native Americans are lactose intolerant. But hear this. 53% of Latinos are lactose intolerant. And white folks, only 30% are intolerant. You see? So this is for their ass. Yeah, I made a note. I said that due to white devils raping black female slaves is the only reason why we are not 100% lactose intolerant. Okay. The data is part of the institutional racism, all right, as I'm calling it, U.S. dietary guidelines are put out by the Department of Agriculture. Hear that. The U.S. dietary guidelines are put out by the Department of Agriculture, not Health and Human Services, because it's profits over people, and they'll say anything for a coin. You understand? That's all that matters to them. That's all that matters. You need to be clear about that. You need to be clear. They tell us to eat dairy foods knowing it will make you sick. And they know it'll make you sick, and they know there's no health benefit to dairy. Do you understand? Listen, everybody, again, there's no nutritional value to dairy products, everybody. This is the truth. Forget what masses said to you, and forget what they advertise on their devilish-ass TVs. There's no nutritional value for you, an African person, in dairy. It's exactly the opposite. It's detrimental to your very life. Now, and also, he makes the point that dairy does not protect or guard against osteoporosis. Another lie they've told and are telling. You understand? All right. The Harvard nurses study showed that women who drank the most milk had the most incidences of hip fractures. But it's supposed to be helping your bones. It's not. Dairy consumption is highest in the places where they have the highest incidence of osteoporosis and weak bones, have the highest consumption of dairy. Empirical data. Direct line you can draw direct. All right. Also, just random, it causes more ear infections. All right. So for all your children walking around with ear infections, and by the way, I think I made a note of this too, that the Pediatrics Foundation or department or something forbids you to even give cow's milk to children that are not over the age of 1 year old, because it jacks up everything. We're going to get into that. And we're going to get into that. Because there's some personal implications here for me, and probably a lot of you too. All right. Also, when we think about, now our kids are wearing bigger shoes earlier. They're taller. Luckily I'm only 25, K.R. Watkins. Anyways, but I didn't get a mustache until you could actually see until I was probably 25. Now you see kids 13, they got a mustache and a beard. They're shaving already. I'm over it. But there's estrogen in this milk, you see? So when we think about this LBGT nonsense, and I feel like I'm a girl, and I want to be called Sarah and not, Kareem or some bullshit, we can probably draw a line to that. But there's estrogen, there's growth hormones, and there's also something that he calls the IGF factor, which is insulin growth factor. All right, there's a direct causation from this insulin growth factor to cancers. All right, here it is. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends children be more than a year old before they can have cow's milk, because it increases their risk of type 1 diabetes and also iron deficiency anemia. That's where it comes in personal for your boy. This tied the two strings together for me, everybody. I was telling you about knowledge converging. Sometimes you can have a piece of a puzzle and you don't know it until you see another piece and you go, oh wait, that's that. or you can hold some information, not know it's anything, and then, or maybe you saw something, or witnessed something, or read something, or saw something on television, you heard a song or whatever, and then somebody else says, well, that's why such and such, yeah, that's why, and it all becomes like an aha moment for you. This was that for me. Now, when you talked about iron deficiency anemia, I've told you guys my whole life I've been anemic. It's very difficult for me to gain and maintain weight. If you stress me out, if I get stressed out for a day, I can lose 5 pounds in 3 days. I can do that. Probably in 2 days. Not even joking. So I begin to put the dots together. Because I told you guys, my mother died when I was 6 months old. She died of tuberculosis. So I spent the first year of my life in the hospital. Because what? I was anemic. And I'm sure that with my mother having tuberculosis, she wasn't able to breastfeed me. So I'm sure they were giving me milk of some kind. And therefore, I had and have iron deficiency anemia. When I saw that, I'm like, that's me. And I just put the dots together. Wait, your mom, and now, oh, because you weren't breastfed, and because what does it say? It's that they have estrogen, growth hormones, and then the insulin growth factor. These cause cancers. All right, but the American Pediatrics said you can't give a child that's not over 1 year old cow's milk because it increases their risk of type 1 diabetes and iron deficiency anemia. I came home when I was 1 year old, everybody. And my grandmother used to talk about how puny I was. You know, that's the word they use when you're really tiny, just puny. So I was puny, you know. But that tied it up for me right there. As soon as I seen this, I'm like, oh my God. Wow. Anyway, but I can't remember all right. But this iron deficiency anemia because of the added proteins that are in the milk. All right. Type 1 diabetes is also an autoimmune situation where the body attacks the insulin producing cells in the pancreas and kills them off. How many people we know, black folks we know right now, that's got type 1 diabetes? And we're talking about childhood diabetes and all that now, this type 1. Well, that's directly tied to this dairy nonsense, everybody. Because as it says, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune situation where the body attacks the insulin producing cells that are in the pancreas and kills them. This is why breastfeeding is so damn important. You gotta breastfeed your children, women. If you're not gonna breastfeed, you don't get to have a damn baby. You don't get to. Unless there's some medical reason, something dire, a threat to your life of why you're not able to breastfeed. Other than that, your ass needs to breastfeed, period. You know, you don't get to have the baby, period. This is too serious. Now, babies are supposed to have mother's milk to help and build their immune system to protect them from disease. And they do that by the antibodies that they get from the mother's milk. You understand? So when you have that mother's milk, then you don't have these incidences of the iron deficiency, anemia, and all the other stuff. Therefore, the type 1 diabetes does not come into place. Therefore, you're not ending up with this autoimmune type 1 diabetes that kills the insulin cells in your pancreas. All right? Which by extension, we can understand that, of course, that would lead to pancreatic cancer. So the babies need the antibodies that are in the mother's breast milk. You understand? Now, cow's milk exacerbates. Here's where we get into corona, everybody. Hear this now. because I don't have the link, but you can go and search it. I feel like he was Asian or Filipino. You can just type into YouTube how you die of coronavirus, or how coronavirus kills. And you'll see, I think he's in a blue, like, t-shirt, pullover. But he's not white, he's not African. You're looking for an Asian man. Either he's Asian or Filipino. That's what you're looking for. Alright? He is a doctor. And he describes, and he's very good with his chart, he's drawing and everything. He's showing you exactly how you die of coronavirus. Why that becomes important now to our discussion here is because when this Dr. Mills is talking about it exacerbates asthma and respiratory illness, that's what dairy does. And oh, by the way, for a lot of my black folks walking around talking about, I got sinus, I got sinus, I got sinus. I brought you years ago, the research and the evidence showing that is directly from the cotton dust that our ancestors breathed, is why so many of our people have this sinus nonsense going on. Again, the crime showing itself many generations after the fact. Alright? So, he doesn't mention that. I'm just mentioning that part. But now, but like I said, cow's milk exacerbates asthma and respiratory illness. Now, our bodies produce mucus to protect the respiratory system. Alright? We know that. So, I can go out on a cool morning and be just as clear as I am right now. And I can go out, and if it's cool or cold, immediately my nose begins to produce mucus. It's laying down mucus so that, because now this air is cold and it's not freezing, so it's warm enough to breathe, but there's also the atmospherics that are conducive for bacteria and virus and everything else. So that mucus is to catch that. When it's not happening, then Allah has put nose hairs in and a mucous membrane to catch and protect what this doctor calls the respiratory tree. That becomes very important to our discussion when we're talking about coronavirus. Alright? Now, so that now your body produces mucus to protect your respiratory system. Milk revs up the production of mucus. Milk and dairy, like I said, we're interchanging those. Milk and dairy revs up the production of mucus, which is the body, which it ramps up the production of mucus. All right, now, and that's not good. You understand? Because Allah, again, going back to the perfection of Allah, the mucus that your body produces is perfect. So the moment you introduce something else that, again, is touching perfection, you've ruined it. And that's what this dairy does. It ruins it. You just ruined it. Alright? How that relates to coronavirus is because when you understand, when you watch this link that I didn't put, of this other doctor that I was just telling about, the Filipino doctor, he says specifically that the way you die of coronavirus is that your mucus production goes into overdrive. People are literally drowning. That's why they can't breathe, because it just becomes harder and harder to breathe because their lungs are filling up with fluid, which is mucus. It's filling up with that, and they just can't breathe, and they can't breathe, and they can't breathe. So when you can't breathe, how the lungs burn off disease and fluid and all that stuff is when you run and you get a lot of air, or you're doing push-ups, or you're walking, or you're doing something. You got to be walking. Even if you're in the hospital for a long period of time, they're going to come and just walk you. A lot of people think that's so their legs don't get stiff or something like that. Well, that's too, but they got to get that air moving so your lungs can burn off stuff, fluid. So you don't set up fluid on your lungs, which then becomes pneumonia. And now it becomes corona. All right? So I'm trying to marry my knowledge of how the coronavirus is caused or how it reacts in the human body. I'm trying to marry that with this new information. That's knowledge converging. All right. So that now, so we go back to this. So that you produce a lot of, your body produces mucus to protect you. All right. But milk exacerbates that, and this is not good, especially if you already have respiratory issues, like sinuses. All right. This dairy and this extra production of mucus directly impacts the coronavirus behavior. All right. I made that note of my own. All right. It also makes the respiratory system overproduce mucus, which is what I just told you. So I was already making those notes to converge these two. Okay. And then I say to myself, maybe this is why we have to wear masks and not the reason they say. And what I'm insinuating there is that maybe there is not a virus in the air. Because we all saw footage, at least I did on television, of them just releasing gallons and gallons, millions of gallons of milk. They're just wasting all this milk now because it's not going to sell, blah, 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 blah. Well, I would be willing to suggest, because it's profits over people, and they're very, one of their main attributes as a species is that they are deceptive devils. They lie like that. It means nothing. There's no fear of Allah in the last day. There's no consciousness of God. As I said, there's no prophet or book that's ever been sent to these people. This is the devil you're dealing with. All right? So now, perhaps it is something that, but I have already insinuated in some of my previous work. I said to you, when we were first learning what they were telling us, how this virus is being spread, blah, blah, I was saying there's probably other ways that they're delivering it to our people, and I gave some examples, of ways they could deliver it to us more specifically, since we're the ones dying of it the most. So this came back to me with this, because I thought, well, wait a second, maybe it's something that's already in the food supply, and add to that this whole dairy thing, that's part of your diet and what you eat in this country, that now the masks are just to stop you from giving that to someone. They're calling corona and saying it's this mysterious virus now, when it might just be tied directly to fucking dairy, and that's it, for all we know. You understand what I'm telling you? You see? So that they know that your system is going to be compromised because of whatever's in the food that they're not telling you about. So they maybe they are trying to actually protect you from that getting worse, and you also then making someone else. But I'm trying to make a case that it could, a very cogent and rational argument, that it doesn't just have to be what they said. Like, it could just be fucking dairy and has nothing to do with a coronavirus. All right, I still believe that that's man-made because of what we saw in China, and I already gave you that Asian people are 95% lactose intolerant. So there wouldn't be a whole lot of dairy going on in the Asian diet. You understand? In fact, they are some of the healthiest eating people, with such a variety of palate that they have in their culture when it comes to their food, So this would have to have been given to them. Given. So it calls into question this whole, what we've been sold about this corona. But certainly for African people, this lets you know that you're not made to have fucking dairy. You're not made for that. You're not. And you need to stop it today. No more dairy. We're done with it. It's over. It's like it never happened. No more cheese, no more milk, no more eggs. Anything they call dairy, you don't eat it. No more yogurt. No more ice cream. No more dairy. This is one of the ways that we can protect ourselves. Now, however this virus is getting and acting and doing everything, I'm proving in this piece that at the very least, you're helping yourself against this virus by cutting out any and all dairy right now, because of what I've expressed to you about how it ramps up the production of mucus already. Now add the corona to that, now you only have a fighting chance. So this is why we could also understand why so many of our people, we're not seeing them rolling us out as one of the survivor stories, you understand? Because of already pre-existing conditions with the dairy bullshit, because you're consuming a lot of dairy and a lot of pork, you understand? Oh, I can make a tie-up, you understand? So if you're gonna wear a mask, then you should also stop eating goddamn dairy. Period. And that means anything that has dairy in it. So any breads or any cookies or anything that's made with any dairy product in it, you should be over that. I am. Alright? Consumption of dairy is also the cause of acne in teenagers, because of the overstimulation of the immune system. So that's why they break out. You want to get the pimples off your face? You got a teenager out there that's got acne and they're using Proactive, and no. Pain is a warning that something's wrong. The body responds when something ain't right. You got acne, that means something else you got to do. Not you got to bring something from the outside. It means you got to change something on the inside. Something on the inside must change. So if you got a child out there with really bad acne, I would love to see you cut off all dairy, all of it, and see their face clear up. No more breakouts. You understand? No more. Alright. Now, he said that the data on the link between cow's milk and type 1 diabetes is and iron deficiency anemia is solid. He was very clear about that and very firm. He said the data on the link between cow's milk and type 1 diabetes and iron deficiency anemia is solid. Like, there's no question. There's definitely a tie and a causation between that. Period. The end. Alright? For my women, ovarian cancer is also linked to dairy consumption. It raises the risk, and the majority of women who get ovarian cancer die from it, because by the time they find it or become aware of it, it's already spread. And it's also very difficult to treat. I had flashbacks when he said that, because I thought, I really have over time. I knew friends or friends of friends or people that I worked with or something that said, that their mother or their auntie or their grandmother had got ovarian cancer and she just went so quick. I've heard that. That's what immediately came back to me when I heard that. It goes back to what I said earlier about you can have a piece of a puzzle, or you can know something, not know you know it, until something else comes on and you go, so this was that for me. Get off of it, women. I'm giving you the data right here, and you're going to go and watch the link that's in the description box under these, so you can see Dr. Mills. Dr. Milton Mills. He's a black man. Alright? So, no dairy for women or any other Africans. Period. For my brothers, we have twice the cases of prostate cancer. I told you guys I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2010. My father died in 2009 of prostate cancer after having it for 15 years. So this is personal to me. You understand? 2011, I was given a miracle, and they did a second biopsy. They go, we don't see anything. There's nothing there. All right? So like, I didn't have to have no kind of treatment or surgery or have my prostate removed and all this, Allahu Akbar. I was given a miracle. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But alas, we do have twice the incidences of prostate cancer than the white devils, and the also prostate cancer in African men is more aggressive. It's harder to treat, and it kills us much more quickly and more often. This is directly tied to dairy consumption. Be over it, my brothers. Be over it. And also, a lot of my brothers that are athletes and all this kind of stuff, you're taking all these whey proteins and energy drinks and fuck all of that. Again, Allah is perfect, and everything that you need to consume on this earth, He has put it here. So go and find that in the source that it comes from, not some powder that you're going to mix up in a blender. We're over that. And all this, we need protein. I never bought into that. You eat a balanced meal and be over it. Don't overindulge, you won't be fat. You understand? Don't just eat what Allah has put here. And like I say, if it doesn't rot and die over the course of 72 hours, you shouldn't eat it at all. You understand? And then also, if it's something that naturally has a longer shelf life, like dates, dates will last you. They just will, something like that. Or, there's stuff that in nature Allah has put a longer shelf life on. It can just stand up longer, Those are okay, but nothing that they have preserved. Be over that. Be over that. So I've given you reason for my brothers to be over this. I give you reason for my sisters as well. All right. By the way, this doctor's uncle died of prostate cancer. He's actually named for his uncle, his mother's brother. She named him after her brother, and he died of prostate cancer. So this was very personal for him. And he also has new friends and stuff like that of his that have died of prostate cancer and suffered with it. Now, there is something known as the China study. All right, it is the most comprehensive health. Is the most comprehensive study on nutrition ever done. It's called the China study. All right, it's a book. You can see it. All right, but this China study shows that dairy protein is strongly linked to liver cancer in children. I'll say it again. Dairy protein is directly linked to liver cancer in children. Also, multiple sclerosis. All right? What they say you benefit from in dairy can be gotten from plants, as I said already. All right? You need vitamin D, take your bitch ass outside. All right? And stand out there for a half hour to an hour. All right? Make sure it gets on your torso and on your arms. You understand? So you can really just really give it up. And our brothers, a lot of our brothers, especially when it gets hot anywhere, brothers immediately start taking their shirts off, or they out playing basketball. Like, we don't have no problems getting our vitamin D and calcium. We're good. Right? But just for those of you who don't really get out, get your ass out and be in the sun. Get out there. Like I say, for at least a half hour, and have enough of your body exposed that you can absorb that sun. So I'm going to cut off again. By the way, vitamin D is not a vitamin, everybody. It's a hormone. I'm glad he makes that distinction. They started calling it a vitamin way back when they started adding it to the milk. You understand? Because they are Frankenstein scientists, and they'll just put anything, because remember, it's profits over people. So whatever we make, we'll just make that as long as it gets us a coin. Tell the public anything and get the coin. That's how they operate. There's no morality going on. Again, no fear of God, no fear of the last day. No prophet or book has ever been sent to these people. They're not mentioned in the Quran. They're not in the Torah. They're not in the scriptures. They're not. Not in the Injil. Not this Bible nonsense you have. All right? They're not even in that, quite frankly. I already told you calcium is another lie. All right. The doctor will explain that a little bit further for you in the link that you will watch. And indeed, milk actually jacks up your calcium balance. It jacks it up. You see, you think it's gonna make your bones stronger. You're gonna have vitamin D. You're gonna have calcium, and no, you're not. You're actually also jacking up, messing up your calcium balance. You see. And then, as I told you, cows don't drink milk, but there's tons of calcium in their natural milk if you tested it. You understand? And they're getting it from the grass and the leafy greens that they're eating. You understand? From the plant kingdom. So the main thing one of the main things I want to say is to Monica, if you see this video, you definitely heed this. Because everything that you shared with us in the live stream, this has implications for you on every single one of those things. You know, it can't do anything but help you to stop all dairy right now. Right now. Right now. And not just the obvious dairy stuff. Like I say, when you buy a loaf of bread, it's going to have some dairy products in it. You can't have that no more. All of us. Anything that has any dairy, we're over it. We're over it. We're over it. We're over it. Dr. Sebi even told us about mucus, everybody. So that also backs up this as well. You understand? So that's what I want to say to Monica, that this will help you if you start this immediately. No more dairy at all. For my people, no more dairy. That this I've shown, I believe, and also when you watch the link of Dr. Mills, I think should all become crystallized for you, and you will understand, wow, at the very least, this should be something that we should see as another way for us to battle and protect ourselves from this coronavirus, and that is to stop eating all dairy. Because I already explained to you what it does to the mucous membrane, how it causes your body to produce what he calls the respiratory tree. You understand? And that's what the coronavirus is attacking. So this dairy already ramps up your mucus production over what it should be, over what Allah naturally decrees for it. And then that coronavirus makes it go just off the charts. So you're drowning like that in your own fluid. And you won't be coming off of a ventilator or anything else. That's why they're dying so quickly. Because you're already producing too much mucus because of the dairy, and then now you catch corona, and then now you're just filling up with fluid. You're just filling up. Just filling up. So I could see why people are dying so quickly. It makes absolute sense to me. Absolute sense. Absolute. So that's what it is, everybody. That's what it is. That's what it is. Wow. I'm not going to draw out my ending here. Like I said, this was just an emergency video, if you will. You know, it just kind of came out of nowhere because obviously of the subject matter. You know, I already did a live stream today already, and then now there's this, and I'm like, no, I have to do this right now because this is too important. You know, this has real implications for our people right now. Right now. Hopefully you understood everything that I've said to you in this piece and why, you should take this very, very serious. Like, don't play around with this, everybody. Understand that, wow, this really, I can see the tie-up based on what, and you're also going to go and find that doctor that, let me see if I can find him. How coronavirus kills you. Haha, found him. This is the dude. It's called How COVID-19 Kills. That's your dude. Right there. That's him. I'm going to click on it. That's your dude. Wait, not him. Wait till the ad finishes. Right. That's your dude. And you will enjoy him. Because he's a doctor, but he's so not uptight. He's just regular dude. Like you, and he shows his credentials and everything at the beginning. Like, he's like, I'm a doctor. You know. And he's very passionate, and he doesn't mince words, and he's not trying to be all clean with the language. He's one of my new favorite people. That's the dude you need to watch, everybody, in addition to the link that I put for you underneath this video already of this Dr. Milton Mills. Alright? You see he's holding up his credential there. You see? Like, he is a damn doctor. Like, no games. And so it's called How COVID-19 Kills. And the rest of the title says, I'm a surgeon, and why we can't save you. There it is. Excuse me. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. Alright. So, you've heard me, you watched Dr. Mills, the link that's in the description box down below, and then you're going to watch this dude, and all of it becomes one circle for you, and you have the entire thing that I'm trying to put you in a certain frame of mind, certain frame of awareness, and all those things converging together will give you that. Do you understand? It will also have your skin starting to get out of control right now. I'm over it. This is another expression of my love, everybody. You understand? That's what this video is about. It's an emergency because of my love for my people, and I have a responsibility to bring this to you as quickly as I could, and I've done that. Inshallah, I will see you all. I was planning to speak on Monday. I said I only had one commitment that I know I've made on Monday, some things I got to do. And I said maybe I end up speaking on Tuesday. But somewhere between now and Tuesday, you will, inshallah, you will hear from the Jedi. Alright? I love you guys all. I'll see you soon.